Yves Tumor isn't just the second worst thing to happen to Adam's wife, they're also a fairly enigmatic musician known for carrying the evocative but fairly vague genre of Deconstructed club. But if you're here to seek a single genre to confine this album into, then I have some unfortunate news for you, mate. I have a sort of respect for Yves Tumor, warping and bending the dials of house and rave music until they splinter. There's as visceral and excruciating a message as there might be able to be on this album, slathered in unpinnable sound design, and given the cover artwork of the last thing I might see before I die in a Goosebumps novel, the album's serpent music felt transcendent and fluid. Safe in the Hands of Love feels trapped and even a bit suppressed, either imposed by oneself or the society around them. I suppose you could say we're not very safe in the hands of love after all. Yes, Ricky, that's called dramatic irony. You learnt it in Year 9 English at high school. Yves Tumor is more about portraying the frigid constraints of being in love more than the liberties of it, and quite frankly, I'm all for something more visceral if it's going to be as creatively sewn together as this. It sounds as if Yves has lured you into a mansion full of taunting spirits yelling words like twisting and writhing into your face to make sure that you know that love is ferociously hard to wiggle free from. Or maybe not just love, it becomes increasingly clear that the album is aware of trauma too. And with the track listing full of abrasive soundscapes rougher than your auntie's scouring pad and contrasted by gritty and boppy pop jams that'd make Public Image Limited jealous, Yves Tumor's new album is the equivalent of doing a lucky dip in a lolly bag full of wine gums and jelly beans, and alongside them tufts of steel wool and shattered Heineken bottles. Honesty is probably the best example of how sparse and unsettling the album can get. Although it feels like it's going nowhere with its dubby beat, that is done to extremely great effect. It genuinely feels like when Yves sings, he's wailing out for desperate help in the distance while the sound of synthetic hi-hat noises swallow the rest of the track as it moves on nonchalantly. It's quite haunting. And then the swift movement from the fierce Noid into the timid and fear-stricken licking in Orchid is subtly devastating. And Lifetime, which follows with its crisp and assured drum patterns, feels a little bit like a suppressed anguish bubbling to the surface, as if it were ready to volcano the hell out. Spoiler alert, it does. Imagine then being confronted by a fusion of slow-burning ambient soundscapes and tense post-rock song structures peppered with warning drum beats, and then getting blasted in the face at the end with a damn noise rock piece. Well, that's the volcano bit I was talking about. Likely that you would have been awaiting a moment like that for some time, considering how much Yves Tumor has been wanting to claim freedom. As such, Let the Lioness in You Flow Freely isn't just my personal pick for best song title of the year, but it's also a highly well executed climax to such an unpredictable and unpinnable set of tense musical tracks, or better to call them, I think, moods. Yves Tumor is all about moods, and although not every one of them complements each other in a cohesive manner, I don't know if it was even intending to do that. There is an effectiveness to come from how unhinged the final result is, so I can really see this one growing on me more and more in the future. Like a 2... no, that's too obvious. I'm awarding this a very satisfied 7 out of 10. It is a track listing that sounds pretty jumbled, hopping from one idiosyncratic sound to another like a game of surrealist hopscotch. But what isn't surreal is the sentiment and raw emotion pervading a lot of the album, which is actually as down to earth as you could assuredly get.